watch till the end for 10 amazing facts to take away. Ever heard of the space race? Think of it as the Olympics, but instead of countries showing off their sprinting skills, they were flexing their rocket muscles. We're diving into the badass story of how the USA and USSR turned the sky into their personal battleground. Buckle up, because this is going to be one hell of a ride. So what the hell was the space race? Picture this. It's the mid-20th century, Cold War's on, and the USA and Soviet Union are like two heavyweight champs duking it out. Only this time, the ring's in outer freaking space. It's a head-to-head match in space exploration. Think Fast and Furious, but with satellites and rockets. Now the Cold War wasn't just about who had the bigger nukes. It was capitalism versus communism, and both sides were itching to prove their way was the best. From the late 50s to the mid-70s, these two superpowers were like, let's see who can own space first. It started with sending satellites up there, and damn, it got wild. Here's how the madness began. Post-World War II, USA and USSR are glaring at each other, gearing up for the Cold War. Space became another battleground, like a cosmic game of King of the Hill. The goal? Launch a satellite that could orbit Earth. The USA starts plotting this in 1954, but then, bam, the Soviets pull a fast one. On October 4, 1957, they launched Sputnik, the first ever satellite. They even sent a dog, Laika, into space. The Americans freaked out, thinking, shit, we gotta catch up. Back in the USA, everyone's losing their minds over Sputnik. Eisenhower's like, chill, it's just a satellite. But the public's seeing it as a Cold War showdown. So America's like, let's get our space game on. And NASA's born in 1958, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. They had their fair share of oops moments, like when their first satellite face-planted on the launch pad. NASA's figuring shit out, thinking, what's our game plan? It's the Wild West up there, and they're trying to find their groove in the space rodeo. Then bam! The Soviets send Yuri Gagarin into space in 1961, making him the first dude to orbit Earth. The guy becomes a megastar overnight. Sadly, he later dies in a training flight which totally sucked. But the USA wasn't far behind. Alan Shepard hit space in 1961 too, though he couldn't see any damn stars from his capsule. Talk about bad luck. Kennedy's watching all this and thinks, screw it, we're going to the moon. And just like that, NASA's got a new mission. Get a man on the moon and make it snappy. Meanwhile, space is proving to be a dangerous bitch. Both sides have their share of tragedies. The US's Apollo 1 catches fire, killing astronauts. The USSR's Soyuz 1 crashes, killing their cosmonaut. This stuff was not for the faint-hearted. Then Kennedy's moon speech in '62 was epic. He's like, we're going to the moon not because it's easy, because it's hard. And NASA's budget skyrockets. The space race became a sprint to the moon. So who won this cosmic showdown? July 20th, 1969 is the date to remember. Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong, one small step for man, all that jazz. 10. The USA gets there first, with the Soviets trying but failing to beat them to it. But the story doesn't end there. Space exploration keeps getting crazier. The US does a flyby of Venus and Mars. The Soviets send the first woman to space. Space becomes this new arena where countries show off their tech muscles. As the 70s roll in, the USA and USSR start chilling out, and even do a joint mission in '75, a big let's be friends moment in space history. The space race left a huge mark. Without it, who knows where our tech would be. It pushed us to new heights, literally. Current space race, fast forward to now, and it's like Space Race 2.0, but with more players. The USA, Russia, China, India, even private dudes like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are in the game. But it's a whole different ball game now. More complex and with no clear winner takes all. So that's the space race for you. A cosmic battle of wits, guts, and glory. It's not just history. It's a reminder of what happens when humans aim ridiculously high, like moon high. And who knows, with the way things are going, we might just see another epic space showdown in our lifetime. 10 space race facts to take away with you. Sputnik, first ever satellite launched by the USSR. Laika, the first dog in space, also sent by the Soviets. Yuri Gagarin, first man to orbit Earth, Soviet hero. Apollo 11, the USA's moon landing mission, July 20th, 1969. Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon. Kennedy's moon speech. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Space dangers. Both sides lost astronauts and cosmonauts. First woman in space, Valentina Tereshkova, Soviet Union. Mariner 2 Venus flyby, December 14th, 1962, and Mariner 4 Mars flyby, July 14th, 15th, 1965. USA's interplanetary achievements. Apollo-Soyuz mission. the big USA-USSR space handshake of '75. There you go, a kick-ass version of the space race story. Don't forget to like and follow to catch our next episode.
Today's video is sponsored by Syndicator. Join a social content syndicate and share the profits. Syndicator, risk-free and free to join. With massive potential and zero risks, why wait? Join us, let's grow together and turn those content dreams into reality. The creative revolution starts here. Join us at syndicator.com.